Good morning and happy Sunday, and welcome into a breaking news edition, an emergency pod of the PHNX Sun Devils show. I'm Anthony Totri, joined as always by Shane Dieffenbach. We unfortunately are here this morning because we've got some pretty bad news for Sun Devil Nation. The university sending out a statement confirming that Arizona State will self-impose a bowl ban for the 2023 football season in light of the ongoing NCAA investigation. Shane, before we get to it all, I'm going to read Ray Anderson's statement that was sent out by the university this morning. It says, Arizona State University has informed the NCAA and Pac-12 conference that it will self-impose a one-year postseason ban on its football program for the upcoming season in light of the ongoing investigation and our membership obligation to maintain the confidentiality of the matter. We will not be commenting further at this time. Shane, 4 days. 4 days till Kenny Dillingham and everybody was supposed to be super excited that college football was back in Tempe, and you tweeted it out. The wind has been taken out of their sails.
Yeah, to a lot of Sun Devil fans, it makes no sense. And I don't know. Like, we can go back to last year when we were in this position last year, 4 days before the first game. We can think about the excitement we had, but we also just weren't excited about the person at the helm, and we weren't really thinking that this team, could do much. And I don't know if there was just false hope within the program. I don't know if Ray thought this team was going to win 9-10 games last year. But this should have been done 4 days before last year, 4 days before, the person who caused all of this was about to take the field to coach as the first game of the year, and not a brand new staff with brand new guys, with seniors that stuck through it all, and they get what? Nothing. Like, yeah, I'm already so like. I've shared my opinions about bowl games on this show before. I'm not it's just a consolation show. It's something to play for, sure, whatever. And when you only win 6 games, like, what is there to play for? But now it's true. Like, what have they been doing this entire spring and fall? Like, it's just so devastating. Yeah, some guys have aspirations to make it to the NFL. Some guys, are gonna coach. Some guys are gonna do, but for the guys that just wanted this to be their last year of college football, like, what motivation do you have to win games? Because you win games, you get it's embarrassing, and it just feels like the people upstairs don't give a shit about you. Yeah,
the administration definitely let this team down. They let the fans down. They let the seniors down. They really did let everybody down. A couple comments in the chat. Austin Ray Anderson cares more about Herm Edwards that he does about ASU athletics. Charles in the chat, not what I expected to wake up to this morning. And then Wannikin as well. We likely don't go to a bowl this year, but it would be horrible to punish this rebuilt team for Herm and Ray's mistakes if they somehow get to 500.
It's not even a somehow, though. Like, I think that's where this team is teetering, like, around that mark. It would not be a shock at all if this team won 6 or 7 games. Yeah. Like, it just wouldn't be. And I know this is like pipe dream stuff, but they wouldn't even be able to play in the Pac-12 championship if they got there.
Yeah.
Like it's terrible.
Yeah.
And I know but you talk about the ultimate like that was the goal for this team, and of course you set lofty expectations, but like now they don't have anything to strive for. Are they going to look at a win total now? And I know Kenny's the person to be able to do this, but you saw the reports from Thamel this morning about the meeting they had. Like players were devastated. Think of a guy like Jordan Clark. Like I'm thinking of those type of guys who, despite a 3-9 year with the one of the weirdest couple of months, despite all of that, he stayed and is here for his senior year, and for what? For nothing.
Yeah, it is. It's extremely tough again for a lot of these players and the fans and everybody that had hope for what this season could be. And like you said, I think if there's anybody that's going to be able to motivate these guys to play for something other than a win total, for something other than a bowl game, it's going to be Kenny Dillingham and the staff. But it doesn't really take away from the fact that the administration let everybody in this program down, really from start to finish. And when I say from start to finish, I mean the idea to keep Herm Edwards around last season without self-imposing a bowl ban, being that he was really the last member of the original staff that was brought together where these NCAA violations reportedly took place. And to make things worse, in my mind, rather than doing the right thing by these student athletes and by the fans of letting Herm go, they opted to still pay him $4.4 million so that they could save face and so that Herm could save face on his way back to ESPN. That is, it's a slap in the face. It is a slap in the face to every single student athlete that plays for Sun Devil football.
Well, and here's the thing. I mean, like, you can't just, like, last year after you lost to Eastern Michigan, you couldn't be like bowl ban. Like, you couldn't do that.
Obviously.
It had to be before. But the thing that I don't understand now is, like, you waited this long. Why even fucking do it now? Like, why do it now? Like, now it's just wait. Just wait to see what happened. Look at Tennessee. We talked about Tennessee. Like, just wait to see what would have happened. Because if the NCAA would have got involved next year, that's one thing. And yeah, you might be avoiding that. And maybe Ray, saw the writing on the wall and they were going to get involved next year. But again, that goes to his incompetence of not doing it last year. But even then, it's like you're going to do this to, I don't know. It's a sticky situation. It's a tough situation to be put in. But bottom line is the wrong people are being held accountable for it, and it sucks.
No, you're absolutely right. The wrong people are being held accountable for something that they weren't here to do. How many transfers were scattered across the country but believed in Arizona State football and the coaching staff to come play this season with a chip on their shoulder to do something? You look at all these coaches that had opportunities. And again, I know they want to be a part of Arizona State football, right? But these coaches could be elsewhere turning other programs around. Yet they opted to believe in a program with an administration that currently doesn't feel like it believes in itself, right? Like Ray Anderson, he fumbled the bag on this one, right? And I think there were a lot of people that were able to cool off on the Ray Anderson hot seat after the Kenny Dillingham hire, after the move to the Big 12, whether it was forced or not. I think everybody was cool, right? But you have something like this come out, and I think it starts everything right back up again with people saying that Ray Anderson deserves to be fired. People in the chat and people on Twitter saying he should self-impose his firing. Like, I don't know if there is a way, really, and Shane, you can chime in if you think there is an answer here, but I don't know if there's a way for Ray Anderson to prove that he is sorry for not self-imposing in the 2022 season. And again, not even in the self-imposing for me, it still baffles me that they opted to keep Herm at the helm of this whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about something to play for now. You play for a middle finger to Ray Anderson. Yeah. You win 8-9 games and be like, hey, that money we would have gotten from this, that it's gone now because you didn't believe in this team. It's also just the timing thing, man. It's so, and I know you get stuck and maybe they were on the fence last year about doing it and they opted not to, and then they're like, shit. In hindsight, 2020, whatever. But it's just the timing of this whole thing is so weird. Like, and again, there's things that are happening behind the scenes that we don't know about. He hears things, whatever. But it just do it before everything, and so the hype doesn't build up. And now it's 4 days away, and now you're just sitting there like, if you're Kenny, what do you even try to tell the players? Like, I know he's this master motivator, but what do you even try to? Like, he's probably blindsided by this. I can't wait to hear what he has to say about this, and I know he's going to be on a bit of a leash when it comes to the school. But you finally got this fire behind a program that has had none in the last 7-8 years, and not 7, 8, 5, 6 years, and now you just put it out yourself, and
it's
there's
tough.
no side of it. And going back to what you said about defending, I mean, I can't do it anymore. I can't defend Ray Anderson for this decision anymore, and it's not as easy as it seems, I'm sure, making this decision, but it's indefensible. I mean, he's made some good hirings and he's made some awful hirings, but something like this is just it's hard to say, but it's so ASU, and I hate that phrase of this is just what ASU does, but my God, it's August 27th. You're 4 days away from a new era of what should be an exciting brand of football, and it's just embarrassing.
Yeah, Winnick in the chat, it's absurd that Ray and Crow have become tangible ammo for other teams to negatively recruit against us. Yeah, this is a tough look. This is a tough look, I think, internally for Arizona State, but you also got to remember that this is the last season that Arizona State is a member of the Pac-12, and this is how they are going to go out. Whether that's 4 wins and not being bowl eligible, or being a team that's contending for a Pac-12 title. But regardless, you're on your way out, and this is the taste that I feel like that is left in them out.
I don't care what, like, there is no being right in this situation, because if they do only win 4 games, they do only win 5 games. Like, I'm still gonna be like, well, they probably would have won 6 if they had something to play for. You know, that last game of the year. If they have 5 wins going into Tucson, like, they're gonna want to win that game. But if they have 4, like, going into Tucson, they're gonna want to win that game regardless. But if they have 4 the game before that, like, there's no reason. Like, why should I care? Like, I'm regardless of the outcome of the season, he's not going to be right. He's not going to be right.
No, yeah. I mean, you're absolutely right. Pete Thamel also reporting that the notice of allegations in this case has not been sent to ASU. So this is, again, just them kind of acknowledging it and jumping the gun here in preparation for what they expect to come. It's a really, really, I don't even know, man. It's mind-boggling to me that we're here 4 days before kickoff, and instead of talking about Jaden Rashada and Kenny Dillingham and Jordan Clark and Brian Ward and all these pieces of ASU football that are reason for so many to have hope in Tempe that, like, something is changing for the better. Instead of doing that, we're sitting here talking about the fact that the administration fumbled the bag, and ASU fans don't get to watch their team play in a bowl game if they're to get to that point. We're here talking about the fact that the seniors, like, they have to go sit there with their parents and come to reality that, guess what? Regardless of how well you perform this season, you don't get to play in the postseason. Like, it's so incredibly frustrating that these players and these coaches were put in this position that they have to pay for those that came before them, right? Like, these are alleged recruiting violations, right? These players even the players in under Herm had nothing to do with this. This is the coaching staff.
Yeah, I mean, again, you're punishing the wrong people, and you paid for the wrong person to leave.
You paid him to leave. You paid him $4 million.
You go 50, 100 years in the future, and this is like one of the biggest stains on this football program is that hire and the way they handled this, and now this. Like, I didn't think that the Herm situation could get any worse. One of the highest paid coaches, one of the most disastrous losses in recent memory, and then you pay him to walk away, and now you get this out of it. He just seemingly the ghost of Herm Edwards is never going to go away.
And what's crazy is he's over at ESPN where they're going to be delivering this news, and he just could sit there and doesn't have to pay for any of it, doesn't have to acknowledge any of it, doesn't have to say anything about it, doesn't have to anything for it other than sit there on ESPN and get to avoid that. It's such an embarrassment, dude. It's such an embarrassment. And if I'm Ray Anderson, right? If I'm Ray Anderson, I feel like as soon as Kenny was done speaking, as soon as the players were informed by the coaching staff that this bowl ban was coming this season, if I was Ray Anderson, as difficult as it would have been, I think he should have been the very next person in that room to hand up apologize to these players and these coaches for not doing this last season. He should have apologized, and even that, it wouldn't have made a dent, but at least it would have been a way for these players and these coaches to see that he gives a shit about them. Instead, it's just eh.
Do you think Kenny and the staff or anybody was consulted, or do you think they found out the same way the players found out this morning?
I mean, this is all speculation on my part, but I would say that Kenny was probably brought in the loop a little bit about this.
How soon? Like hours before the meeting, or?
That's a phenomenal question. I have no idea. Again, the administration, and really every administration, as you know, in college sports, they've got people inside the NCAA. Like they're obviously self-imposing this bowl ban at this time for a specific reason, right? They know what is likely to come here. It's not like when the notice of allegations and everything gets sent down that, we self-imposed a bowl ban for no reason. Like, they have a good idea of what's coming. So I think probably when that news got sent down the chain of command, I think Kenny was probably brought in at a certain point.
Yeah, the reason why I asked that is Austin brought it up. I mean, if there was a hint of it, like maybe that could have influenced Kenny's decision into doing this, but I just don't see Kenny as that guy. Kenny, as we've talked about, like actually just wants to win games. So I feel like he's hit with this. And for the people in the chat, whether you're an ASU fan or a U of A fan, talking about the bowl eligibility, why does it matter? It's what we've been talking about for the last couple months. I mean, if you've been at practice, you'd see why it matters. You'd see the talent on this roster. It's not just like when you completely overhaul a roster, it can go really poorly. I don't think that's what's going to happen here. I think that this team is stacked at many positions, and they're going to score a lot of points, and I think they have a very good chance of being bowl eligible. But now, obviously, that doesn't matter. I do want to talk about one thing, and that's something that I've seen that's happened in the past hour that this has been developing. For the last, what would you say, 6, 7, 8 years, since Ray Anderson was hired, it's been fire Ray Anderson. Not actually, but it feels like that.
Yeah.
This feels a little bit different. And I know there's a bunch of outbursts where this happens, where the Herm hire, the Eastern Michigan lost, the Herm fire, the finding out that they're paying him to leave. Like, there's been outcries on Twitter of people saying, fire Ray Anderson, this is ridiculous, blah, blah, blah. But now I just feel like you have some different people saying it. And some people that normally wouldn't go out of their way to be saying Ray Anderson should be fired and this is embarrassing. Do you feel the same way?
What part exactly?
Do you feel like that this is a little bit different in terms of the response from the fans and from the media?
Yeah, I do. But I do so because for the same reason that I think this is an even worse look than the Herm hire itself, is because this directly affects the players. This directly affects the seniors.
Well, yeah, it's 100% a worse look, but like
this is a different case in terms of fire Herm or fire Ray.
I just feel like I'll give you an example. A guy who has been critical of Ray, but I don't think ever come out right and said it. Chris Cartman tweeting Ray should resign. Ray should apologize to every player and resign.
Yeah, he should. He should. There's no way that, again, it for me is like you have to own up to the mistakes. That hasn't been done since the Herm situation happened. And now you have a completely new mess that you've made. It's the fact that you've rebuilt this football program with legitimate pieces, and it just looks like that he doesn't care is my thing. And whether he cares or not, like, as a part of this administration, you have to at least look like you give a shit about the players. I get you change the name of the stadium, you got a bunch of money for the athletic program, you hire these coaches, and you talk about the success that they're going to bring for these programs. But at what point can you just like be human for a second and show that you give a shit about these players, right? Like screw Arizona State University. You have seniors that, like you said earlier, are never going to play college football again after this, that are never going to put on cleats ever again. And it just doesn't seem like he cares. In this moment in particular feels like the biggest example of that, the biggest example of I don't care about these guys.
Yeah, and yeah, you just feel for all of the guys that we've talked to in the past couple months, and I don't know. I'm speechless with this. It's just
it's painful, man. It's tough because there are so many fans, right, and parents that are going to wake up this morning, and this is the news that they are really left with. Like I said, 4 days before kickoff, man. 4 days before kickoff.
You know what really sucks is it's also just like I didn't want everybody to be right that this would just like it just feels like, oh shit, well, I guess it is ASU after all. I guess the hype, can be postponed for a while because before it was, so many people in mentions and even ASU fans talking about, well, it's always something university. Something's going to happen, and you just don't want them to be right. And this year they were right. But now it's time for some damage control. I feel like is there anything else you want to cover about this? Because it's an abject failure. It's fucking humiliating. I mean, Crow and Ray, and I don't know if Crow even had a part in this, but the people that are in command of this whole situation should be embarrassed. It is embarrassing, but I mean, is there we've talked about it. They're stupid. It was a dumb decision. It should have happened last year. I think this is one of the worst handlings of a coaching hire, fire, and investigation in maybe ever. But you still have to play football. And now it's time for damage control for Kenny. It's time for damage control for the leaders of this team, the captains, the ones that are going to be suffering the most probably from this. And you still got to play. And one thing that I really hope doesn't happen, one thing that you can do as an ASU fan to show up and show out to the game still, in spite of Ray Anderson, in spite of this decision. This game might not matter because you're going to go to a bowl game, but it still matters win-loss. It still matters for the trajectory of the program. Like, this team wasn't going to win a national championship this year. Duh. It doesn't mean that the trajectory couldn't get there eventually. It doesn't mean that. It totally can. So you just hope for positive momentum this year, and you see some strides. And it sucks that we're at this point, but that's the job of Kenny now. That's the job of the players now, is to just still push forward and be like, look, we still have to play games. We still get to play games. This is our job. This is what we do. And we will have fun doing it still because this is the game they love to play.
Yeah. Winnick in the chat, feel bad for Kenny having to mop up this mess and keep the team motivated. Yeah, it's a tough situation, but like you said, Shane, like this is one of those that I feel like you almost take it like a loss, right? And I feel like Kenny is the right man to do that, to sit in front of these players at a certain point in time, similar to when you lose. When you lose, you win, right? Like you sit there post game and you're like, cool, we got 20 minutes to celebrate, or we got 20 minutes to sulk, and then we move on to the next thing. I know this is a little bit larger when it comes to something like that, but I think it has to be that mentality of we can't let this affect the work that we have to do. Right, this year is going to be a massive year still for Arizona State football and the trajectory of this program. These championship caliber teams, Georgia, Alabama, Ohio State, LSU, they weren't built overnight. And just because there's a little bit of a bump here with not being able to potentially play in a bowl game this season,
your car spun out, but yeah.
But you'll live. That's what I'm trying to get across here.
There were some casualties. there were a couple of them. No, the seniors. There were some casualties.
It's you just got to focus on what you can control, and these players can't control anything outside of what they do on the field. These coaches can't control anything outside of what they, put together in terms of a product. And I'm confident that these seniors, these players, Jordan Clark, right, like BJ Green, Trey Brown, Ro Torrance, guys that whether they're seniors or they have aspirations to play in the league, whatever, they are going to go to work tomorrow, and they are going to put together the best possible game plan for Southern Utah, right? When they kick off on Thursday, this can't be what's being discussed. This can't be. When tomorrow starts and they have their first practice of game week, you cannot let this be the thing that everybody on the field is talking about. It can't set the tone for the season. It can't set the tone for the game week. It's got to be, we have accomplished so much already. And you just got to look forward to the season, man. You can't do anything about this.
Yeah. It's hard to say because again, you're never going to know what Ray was hearing and why he decided to do this today. Did he know before the season? Did he talk to Kenny about it when he got the job? There was a possibility they were going to be doing this. Did he hear something that, look, if you don't self-impose a bowl ban this year, this is what the violations are going to lead to, and you're going to get a bowl ban regardless next year. That could be it. But I just can't believe it because I can't bring myself to believe that is the case because one, that would be the best case scenario for Ray Anderson, and two, I can't believe that he's going to make the right decision all the time because of what has happened in the past. Mm-hmm. And if that's the case, and and he just decided to do it this year because of non-concrete evidence or what he's thinking, and there's a world where ASU's violations, which were lesser than Tennessee's violations, and there's a world where they would not have gotten a bowl ban, and they would have just had to pay the $8 million and it's about money and the probation and the scholarships taken away. If that was it, I mean, woo! But I'm going to try to convince myself that he heard something crazy was going to come down because of the violations. And he heard that they were going to get a bowl ban next year. And he did that this year and he should have done it last year, but he didn't. And he made a mistake. And that mistake is inexcusable. That mistake is indefensible. And that mistake should be the last straw. But, the players play the game and the administration controls things that the players can't. And
it's baffling. Shane, anything else on this mishandling of this situation or the fact that, again, any final thoughts that Arizona State will self-impose a bowl ban for the 2023 season?
I know it's hard right now, and it's probably going to I'm going to be screaming expletives this entire day and probably the rest of the week on our show. But one, we still have a job to do. We got to cover this team. We get to cover this team. We get to watch the games. They're still going to play all of the games that they're scheduled in. So we're going to be out there, and I think a lot of the fans, or I know a lot of the fans will be out there, and I hope more fans will still be going, and that, the sails are still blowing, and the wind wasn't completely taken out of them.
Yeah.
It's a shame now, but again, as I said before, go to the games in spite of Ray Anderson. Go to the games to support the work that the guys have done. Because at the end of the day, as an ASU fan, you are never going to the games to support Ray Anderson and Michael Crow. You're going to the games to support the kids and the men that have put in so much work to put a good product on the field. So don't let this completely derail your hopes for the future, because it's a 1-year bowl ban, and it sucks. But it's a 1-year bowl ban, and next year I have high hopes for. I have high hopes for this year too, but what do the hopes lead to?
I think you said it pretty perfectly earlier. You got to play for a giant middle finger to the administration on this one, whether that be 8, 9, 10 wins, or even just reaching 500 and being bowl eligible. Whatever you do from this point on is a giant look what we could have done to the administration, and look what you should have done last season. That is going to do it for this emergency pod episode. Guys, before we head out, please leave a like, subscribe if you're not already, and stay locked in on social media at PHNX_Sun Devils, because it is game week. ASU is out at practice right now. I'll be heading over there right after this. So we'll see if Kenny or if any of the players are allowed to really comment on this situation. But in the meantime, guys, like I said, give us a follow over at PHNX_Sun Devils. You can follow me at Anthony_Totri. You can follow Shane at Shane Dief.
And as always.
We will see you guys on Monday live at 2 p.m. But for now, peace.